The shifting tectonic plates of British politics are moving quite fast at the moment as the Reform Party, led by Farage, gains significant momentum, and Suella Braverman's husband, Rel, becomes a senior campaigner for the small party, this five-member party in Parliament that demonstrates rather pointedly that the first-past-the-post system is absurd. His defection adds fuel to the speculation that reform is no longer a fringe player but a burgeoning political force threatening the Conservatives and, more startlingly, Labour itself. Raoul's Braverman's move to reform is more than a spousal intrigue. It symbolises a broader ideological migration. A finance manager at Mercedes, Raoul is not merely a bystander in Suella Braverman's political odyssey. His campaign focus on defending farmers from Labour's inheritance tax hike aligns perfectly with Reform's rural rhetoric and its challenge to the big tent vision of the Conservative Party. By targeting disaffected Conservatives and disillusioned Labour voters, Reform's strategy is simple: highlight grievances and promise radical populist solutions. For Braverman, this move creates an awkward spectacle. Publicly, she asserts her independence, saying this is the 21st century, not the 18th century, distancing herself from her husband's political choice. Yet whispers are bound to go on and persist. As the darling of the Tory right, Braverman has clashed with centrist leadership and hinted at her frustration with the party's trajectory. And while she denies any plans to defect, I think that's a sort of telling point anyway. I have no intention of defecting. Well, count the weeks. Reform's overtures are difficult to ignore, especially as they position themselves as the vanguard of right-wing principles, the very right-wing principles that she champions. Polling now shows Reform overtaking Labour, and with Farage's party commanding 24% of public support. This is a small poll, and it's not necessarily a poll that matters, but it shows a surge. It's not merely a rejection of Labour, but a symptom of Conservative discontent under Kemi Badenoch's leadership. And why would anybody be surprised about that? Critics accuse Badenoch of reviewing policy rather than setting any clear agenda, leaving Reform to fill the ideological vacuum. Well, that's been going on since the election. And recent defections of high-profile figures like Andrea Jenkins, the finger lady, and Tim Montgomery bolster Reform's credibility as a viable alternative. Farage, ever the showman, likens Reform's ascent to Labour's post-World War II rise a political revolution. Whether hyperbole or not, the party's strategic recruitment, its grassroots expansion to 105,000 members, its growing influence in Wales and upcoming mayoral elections suggest real traction. Reform's ability to attract figures like Raoul Braverman underscores its appeal to a wide range of right-leaning voters, and for the Conservatives this shift spells existential peril. Braverman herself warned of Reform's threat, urging the party to woo back defectors. But the Tory leadership appears paralysed, torn between pursuing a central, pragmatic approach and pandering to the demands of its right wing. This lack of decisive ideological focus risks bleeding further support to Reform, especially with high-profile defectors openly courting former Tory MPs and their spouses and strategists. So, thinking about Suella Braverman's next move, the wife, we might see a microcosm of the larger drama unfolding in British politics. Reform's appeal lies in its simplicity: blunt messaging, conservative, sort of cultural conservatism, and economic populism. For voters disillusioned with established parties, this clarity must be compelling. The problem is, simplicity is a false god. Simplicity is a deceit. Our world is complex. And whether Braverman will officially join the ranks, become a Reform ranker, remains a tantalising question, but her husband's defection is one of the greatest symbolic coups that Farage has managed to manipulate. The Allure of Reform UK speaks of a deeper dissatisfaction with politics. And the question is whether this insurgent energy will transform into enduring power or simply fracture the right further. For now, the Conservative Party must confront a rising tide or risk being swept away by the revolution Nigel Farage so gleefully proclaims. And Suella Braverman is stuck on some sort of bridge trying to work out which bank to reach out for. Does she choose the bank of the Conservatives or the bank of the Reform? Which bank does Suella Braverman intend to inhabit? Because at the moment she's midstream.